The project is about making people more aware of the Battle of Preston in 1715 because we realised that lots of people don't know about it, and yet it had a really big impact on Preston and its people, and we just wanted to make sure that we marked the 300th anniversary.
We've been asked to come here and basically show people what it was like to be a Jacobite in 1715, or in the case of the opposition, a British Army soldier. So we've set up a living history encampment, and this is the sort of thing you would have seen if you'd come here during this time. So we've got people doing authentic cooking with authentic ingredients.
It's bringing history alive, and if you fire a musket in front of a charge, you've got their attention, and you can put on information then. It's a hook, and children come and they can see and hear the sounds and sights of history.
I wouldn't have known anything about, I didn't even know there was a war in Preston. It's been extremely fun, very informative, jumping out of my skin at certain times, even though I knew they were going to fire those bullets.
I absolutely love history, and I've really enjoyed seeing them fire all of the guns and all of the marching to the drum beat and everything.
Had a brilliant exchange between a school in Preston and a school in Dunblane, which is just where the Battle of Sheriffmuir was fought on the same day as the Battle of Preston. So they visited each other's battlefields and learned a lot about that. We've also done some schools resources so that teachers can bring the battle to life and do it as a local history session. We've produced an app and a trail leaflet, and we're learning so much about all the different maps and the records that there are about the battle. And it's all really come together in a weekend for the actual anniversary. We proclaimed James III King for the first time in 300 years.
And promising to stand by them in the prosecuting of these glorious ends. God save the King!
At the weekend we've got lots of activities happening in the Minster, the church that was very much at the forefront of the battle.
We've seen the soldiers with the rifles and the swords. We've seen the houses and what it used to look like around here, the model. So it's been very interesting.
I've learned a lot about the Jacobites and what you can do with some material and how you can change it into a kilt.
Mackintosh was a soldier brave and did most gallantly behave.
The culmination of the weekend will be a commemorative service, again in the church, a fascinating creative event that will bring together stories around Preston in 1715, but put them on the streets of the 21st century city.
The audience could wander around the streets encountering different bits of the performance, so they could help build the barricade, they could heckle the government troops, they could go and spy on things that were happening, they could see some performances. Overall, the last battle worked with 100 people in community workshops. We had 70 community performers performing with us on the night alongside a core team of 15 actors. We also worked with about 20 artists to produce the piece, and we had a fantastic audience turnout of 750. We heard a lot of audience feedback about how it seemed to really mean something at that moment to have that happen on the streets of Preston, to make us understand more about what war would be like if it actually landed on our doorsteps.
We've had the most amazing links made, first of all with a gentleman from America who has a collection of documents and who got in touch and said, would you like to borrow them? And we've incorporated them into the app that we've made so they can be shared. They'll be stored at Lancashire Archives so people can explore them further.
If somebody wanted to research the battle, they could just come into the archives and look at those things. They could handle 300-year-old documents. A part of the project is going to be to trace those names that we get from the documents and find out what happened next. Do a little bit of building of family trees, and again, hopefully create a resource that people can come and use.
It's not really a study of people a long time ago, it's a study of people like us back then. That is absolutely fascinating to see how people coped at the time, you know, without the modern comforts that we have now. And because it was actually in the streets of Preston by the church, people can actually, and the layout, the streets are the same, you know, people can really get an idea of what was happening. People got really enthusiastic and fired up about it.
I really liked the model. I thought that's a really good way to get everyone to see whereabouts it happened, and it's quite nice to get everyone in the community, specifically because it's about this area, to get them knowing what's going on, I think.
You walk past buildings every day and think, there was a revolution here 300 years ago. And if no one tells you, it's just anonymous buildings, isn't it?
Very interesting. Never knew anything about 1715. So it's just a bit of a learning thing.
It's important that you need to understand your heritage and your history and the people who have lived before you, and I think it's been brilliant.
Feels like this has made its mark with all generations. They're fascinated because it's Preston, but also because it's a bit of history that's not clear to them. And it's just brought out a passion in so many different people. Everybody feels part of this particular battle.